Now, oftentimes, I've talked about the black sheep and the scapegoat, and so many people don't understand what do we see on a daily basis, what do we go through, how much do we endure, and many people as well don't understand the reason why we decide to make very critical decisions to leave toxic families behind. Now, in this video, I'm going to let you guys know exactly what is happening behind the veil and what do we see on a daily basis in the eyes of a black sheep. Let's go. Good morning, everyone. Good evening and good afternoon to viewers from all walks of life. This is Denzamos, and you are welcome to the channel of truth, enlightenment, freedom, and the channel of breaking empaths free. If you are new on this channel, I talk about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. I talk about spirituality and I talk about personal and self-growth. And if any of that resonates with you, I invite you guys to join us, give us a like, share the video with friends, and you may subscribe if you haven't already. And for those that have always been with us, you are welcome back, and I thank you for your love and support. Now, growing up as a child, I think I was around 8 years, I don't remember, 9 or something like that. I witnessed my mother being beaten up. So just one evening like that, on a normal, easy evening, I was at home. The narcissistic parent came around. I don't know what happened between the two of them. The only thing I remember hearing was the doors shutting down because my bedroom was next to my mother. So the doors all of a sudden shut down, and the next thing I heard was my mother being beaten in the next room, very badly and intensively. In those days, I was young, of course, like anybody else, so I didn't really know what was going on. I brushed it off as a mere incident. But that same night as well, my mother walked out of the house in the middle of the night. So she ran out of the house. She don't even walk out of the house. She ran out of the house to an unknown destination because she had been beaten in that night. It took me a couple of weeks later on till I saw my mother actually returning to the home because it was very difficult for her to go. So this was a situation whereby my mother now was bonded into that relationship in some kind of a way, and she could not stand leaving her children behind. So she had to come back in some way to take care of her children. Now, my mother's late. My mother passed on in 1998. And when I continued to evolve recently, I also came to the realization that my mother was an empath. So she was also an enabling parent. As I continued to grow, evolve, and learn more about these dysfunctional families and units, I discovered my mother was an empath. Not only that, she was also an enabling parent at some point. But deeply, my mother, I knew she was a very good soul and a very good person. Now, I've studied in boarding school for the most part of my life. So I never had the chance to stay long periods of time with my mother. But the only thing I was trying to process later on, I was just trying to remember those incidents. And I was just trying to imagine how much did my mother have to endure because I never usually spent a lot of time with her. I was just trying to imagine and to process how much did she have to endure in that marriage. And I can guarantee you guys, now understanding what exactly is narcissistic abuse, I can guarantee you there's a lot of abuse was happening behind closed doors. And my mother had actually had enough of that relationship. I still miss my mother until this moment. I think about her every day. Of course, I continue to do my job and put all the messages as they come in. I also still remember each and every single moment like it was yesterday. Not only that, growing up in a narcissistic family unit, I also experienced a lot of physical abuse. So I would see different family members being beaten up for whichever reason. I don't know, whatever it is they had done, including me, of course. Like I've told you guys, I've been the black sheep in the family. So I was also on a regular basis, whether it was being blamed whether it was being beaten up. So one of the two had to happen. But it was just because I was trying to make a decision and become a free thinker and think for myself. So I was always punished for those kind of actions. A lot of you guys in dysfunctional families, you will also relate that normally, whenever you try to raise your voice and to stand up for yourself, you're always going to be suppressed, punished, and sometimes you may be sometimes be physically abused or beaten up, either by your narcissistic brothers and sisters or sometimes by your narcissistic parents. So abuse is going to be on a regular when it comes to those kind of dysfunctional families. Ladies and gentlemen, I can guarantee you that it is very hard growing up in a toxic family unit. It is very hard. It is very difficult. For a lot of us who have seen all these kind of patterns and everything, we know what it is. And it is not something that we wish anybody to endure. But of course, later on as you evolve as a black sheep, you understand that actually you are not placed in those families by accident. So there's always been a hidden meaning. It was God's preparation and the divine plan for you to come into those families because at some point in time you had first of all had to see what exactly was happening in that family for you to be able to understand what was the mission ahead of you. Now, at a certain point in time, later on when I awakened, so many things started coming back to me. A lot of memories started coming back. I started to remember so many things. All those events that used to happen along the lines when I was a kid, until when I was an adult. So a lot of things started playing back in my head, and I started adding up the puzzles, and each and everything fitted in its own place. Then I finally came to the realization I'd been involved in a dysfunctional family all my life. Now, it was tough for me to make a decision to leave. It was very hard. I had to think about this thing over and over again. And again, when I noticed that actually this was the problem going on, I did not speak to anybody. So I kept it to myself. I kept on enduring, I kept on persevering, I kept on trying to save the situation, and I kept on scapegoating for the family. On one particular day, there was a sibling of mine who is also the lost child. This particular sibling had been forgotten by the entire family for so many periods of years. We're talking about 10 plus years. They had completely been forgotten. It's like they never existed. They were somewhere living their own life, going on with their own life. But me personally, having been the last person that I saw that had seen that sibling over the years, I was the only one who knew that actually that sibling was indeed um, entangled with a narcissist for a good number of years. Now, one particular day like that, something mysterious happened. I think this was a divine intervention, or maybe sometime God brought this thing um, as a sign for everybody to see, for the ones who wanted to see, that they could actually see what exactly was going on. So it was actually a preparation from the universe. God brought that sign for everybody to see. Now, that sibling got very serious health issues, whatever they were. I will not mention exactly where they are, but they were in a certain country somewhere. They got serious health issues. They were hospitalized. It was at that point whereby we thought, most of us, that we would never see those individuals again because the situation was extremely dangerous and extremely delicate. So they were hospitalized. That sibling was hospitalized. Now I came out, I was telling the whole family, listen, guys, that sibling of ours is going through narcissistic abuse. I was the only one who had understood what was narcissistic abuse. I had awakened from it. I was the only one who could figure it out. So I told the other members of the family that, listen, guys, this particular individual is involved with the narcissist, and whatever is going on with his life, it is actually narcissistic abuse. Nobody listened to me. Everybody went quiet. I told them the second time, they went quiet. I spoke the third time, they went quiet. And I noticed actually for some reason, nobody was listening to me, whichever the truth I was putting out there. So out of frustration, I was like, I'm not going to get involved with this kind of family that is watching another sibling somewhere in the hospital dying away and fighting for their life. I was not going to get involved with those kind of patterns. So what I did, out of frustration, I decided to unplug. out of the family unit. So for me, that was a turning point for me to jump out and to extract myself out of a dysfunctional family unit. And from that day forward, I never looked back. I came out, I started fighting back. Because you see, when you're talking about the black sheep, we're talking about people who are about justice. The black sheep, wherever they are, whatever they do, they are about justice. When they see something is not just in that unit, in that family, they are usually going to speak out. They are going to fight back. They are going to speak out. They are going to stand up for the other family members who cannot speak. Usually, most of them who are even sometimes the enablers, or sometimes people that they call the flying monkeys of the narcissistic parent at the top. So a lot of people a lot of people in that unit, they're not ready to speak. They have been silenced. They have been put to sleep. They've been put under a spell, and a lot of them have been dragged into that kind of mess. Most of them, without even knowing it, that they're involved with a toxic, dysfunctional family unit. Black sheeps will go through a lot. I've just decided to give you guys a little bit of an example of the things that we see on a regular when we're involved with those kind of families. We see everything. We endure everything. Punishments. We endure isolation. We endure torture. We endure everything that describes evil and everything that describes pain. But most of the times, because for some reason black sheeps were like warriors, we always come out on the top and we fight back. Because why? Our mission has always been one, to break generational cycles in those families. So if you're out there wondering why usually we don't, we make very critical decisions, very, very delicate and critical decisions to leave toxic family units behind. We really know what is going on there. We really know the repercussions and the consequences of these decisions. We stand by these decisions. We extract ourselves from those units and we move out forever. In the eyes of a black sheep, we see it all. And believe me, I awakened at 40 years when I was 40. I'm now 43, so I awakened around when I was 40, around that time. In the 40 years of my life, the only thing I'd always done as a black sheep was to bring the family together. The only thing I'd always done was to stand up for other people, to stand up for them, to be there for them. Whenever there was something going on, they would always come to me. I helped them in one way or the other. They carry on with their lives. It has happened again and again, but at this time I was like, okay, so that is enough. I have done this again and again. It is enough. It is now time to fight for myself, to take my life back, to take my... it was now time for me to take my life back, to get my sanity back, and to fight for myself and leave definitely and permanently a toxic family unit behind. So, black sheeps out there, it is in this video that I want to let you guys know that you're not doing a mistake. Whatever decision you're doing or you have taken to leave your families behind, that is the decision you're going to stand with for the rest of your life. You are here to break generational curses. You are not going to be able to blow the trumpet. You are not going to be able to blow the trumpet when you're sitting in the dysfunctional family unit behind, because they are always going to hinder your progress. They are always going to shut you down, and they're always going to hinder your path. The only way for you to be able to break those kind of curses is for you to get out first of all, extract yourself from those units, blow the trumpet, let them know if they want to, let them know what is going on in those units. If they want to, they'll understand you. If they want to, they resonate with you, they'll follow you, they'll follow your guidance. But that is going to be up to them to decide whether they want to continue that kind of cycle or not, or whether they want to continue with that cycle and pass it on to their children so that now it can continue in those kind of generations in the years to come. It is up to them to make that decisions. It has nothing to do with you. You do not have a role to play in that. Your role is to blow the trumpet and let the people know what is going on. Your role is to change the whole entire paradigm in those families. Let everybody know unapologetically what exactly has been happening over the years. Allow them time to process it. Allow them time to understand what is happening. Allow them time to heal. Because again, I've always told you guys that the black sheeps, you are healers. So you stepping out, awakening and stepping out and distracting yourself and working on yourself, you are going to set an example to the rest of those family members. You are going to show them how things are supposed to be done in a normal way without dysfunction. How the life is supposed to be managed and carried on in a regular way without dysfunction. So, of course, you guys already know I love and appreciate your support. Let us know if you want to book a session with me. If you want to donate and support to this channel, you can always find the links in the section below. Until then, it's been lovely to have you guys on board. And I will not forget saying that you guys can always drop in your comment in the comment section below what also has been your experience, what are the things you've seen, and what has been your journey like. Let us know what you think about this. And until then, much love and blessings. There's more signing out. Peace.